What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our college football channel. We continue with our 2022 predictions. The Ole Miss Rebels are up next. Here are some of the predictions for Ole Miss heading into 2022. The FPI has them at 7.7 and 4.3, so roughly 8 and 4, not really giving them much of any chance to go to the SEC championship. Athlon has them at 8 and 4. The over/under is at 7.5. So everything seems to line up here for Ole Miss to go 7 and 5 or 8 and 4. That seems to be the record for this team. This is a team coming off of a 10 and 2 season last year. They were really good, and I think they have the potential to be really good again this year. When you look at this team on the offensive side of the ball, it comes down to the quarterback position. Jackson Dart, how good can he be for them? I have no worries at all with Lane Kiffin calling the plays, and the weapons around Dart, and I think he proved himself at USC. I think this offense has enough to where they can be really good again this year. So no real concerns there on that side of the ball. On the defensive side, this team is not super talented or super deep. That's going to be what holds them back. That's what's going to be the thing that that's going to be the thing that keeps them from maybe making it to the SEC championship or maybe even beating Alabama, those types of things. And I think depth will be an issue there. If they can stay healthy, I think the starting lineup for Ole Miss on defense is not too bad. But if they have some injuries, I can see depth catching up to them as the season goes on. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be about the offense. They're going to try to get into some shootouts. They'll probably get into some shootouts, and they'll probably win a lot of them because they're going to have a really good offense. So those are my thoughts on this team. Let's now look at the schedule, and we'll go game by game and predict how the season could potentially go. All right, so you see in the non-conference, they'll play Georgia Tech. That's their big non-conference game. Not too bad there. And then the teams that they play out of the East, they have Vanderbilt and then Kentucky. So this is a really favorable schedule for an SEC West team. They start off with Troy there on September the 3rd, and then they'll play Central Arkansas on September 10th. Both of these games should be pretty easy wins. Troy not what they used to be. Used to be one of the best group of 5 teams, but they lost their head coach and haven't been really all that great since. So I don't see that being a challenge. And of course, Central Arkansas should be a blowout. So I've got the Rebels starting off 2-0. And then they'll move on to Georgia Tech on September the 17th. Road game against Georgia Tech, a team that, I don't think will be terrible. They're not going to be one of the, they're not going to be a 2-10 type team, but they are a team that I think will struggle to get to a bowl game. The game's on the road. It comes down to, can Georgia Tech's offense catch fire? Do they have enough weapons to where they can maybe hang around in this game? Because it's probably going to be a shootout type game. Ole Miss is going to score a lot. They just will. I don't think Georgia Tech's offense is going to be good enough to really challenge. I think Ole Miss wins this one fairly easily, probably about a 20-point win somewhere in there. I've got them winning that game. And then also beating Tulsa, a respectable team out of the American Conference, but they're just not going to have the offense to keep up with Ole Miss. I don't think this game will be all that close. So I've got them starting off the month of September, or going 4-0 here through the month of September before moving on to the month of October. They will play Kentucky on October the 1st. Home game for the Rebels, first real big test for them, and it will be a test. Kentucky is going to be a very good football team this year. They'll be sound on defense. They'll be able to run the football. Will Levis really has changed this offense. That he's given them a passing threat, and that's why a lot of people are really high on Kentucky. I expect a lot of points in this game. I think Kentucky's offense will be able to score, and I think they will make this a very good game, a competitive game, a high-scoring game, a shootout. But playing at home, I think Ole Miss will find a way to get it done. This might be one of those crazy overtime games or a last-second score, but I think Ole Miss will find a way to win a great game against Kentucky. And then I've got them starting off 5-0, moving on to Vanderbilt on the road. Not a very tough place to play, let's just be honest. Vanderbilt doesn't have much to get me excited for them this year. I don't see them being very good. Don't see this game being competitive really at all. If Ole Miss's defense isn't great in this one, Vanderbilt could score maybe in the 20s, but Ole Miss might score in the 50s. I don't think it'll be all that close. Ole Miss wins, and they move on to 6-0. So halfway through the season, I've got them starting off undefeated. Moving on to the second half of the season for Ole Miss, this is where it gets tough. Just look at this schedule. Auburn, LSU, Texas A&M, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi State. 3 of those games on the road. I think it's very possible this team will start 6-0, but then you get into this part of the schedule and it gets tough. Auburn there on October the 15th, a home game for Ole Miss. I don't know if Auburn will have the type of offense that's going to be able to hang around in a game like this. Again, Ole Miss should be really explosive on that side of the ball. Playing at home, I think Ole Miss will take care of business in this one. Pretty close game, not a blowout, but I think the Rebels win it by a couple of scores. Then they move on to LSU on the road October the 22nd. LSU, a big unknown. You know, we really don't know a ton about this team right now, but we know they're going to have talent. We know they're going to be well coached, and we know this game's in Death Valley, and that is a very tough place to play. I just don't know if I can see Ole Miss going on the road to win this one. I'm going to go with LSU. Close game, a really good one, but that's their first loss of the season. They could possibly go 7-0 before losing this game to LSU. And again, the schedule just gets really tough here. Next, you got Texas A&M on October the 29th. On the road at LSU, then on the road at Texas A&M. Brutal back-to-back games. Very tough places to play, obviously. Texas A&M going to be a young team this year, but a very talented team, and a team that should be, I think, better at this point. They should get better and better as the season goes along. Because they're playing at home, I'm going to go with the Aggies. Good game, another close game, but I do think Texas A&M will pull it out. They get a bye week after that, and then they get to gear up for this game against Alabama. I've said this before. I think Ole Miss probably has the best shot of anyone in the regular season of knocking off Alabama. I think the bye week before, playing at home, an offense that we know can score points against Nick Saban's defense, that's going to give Ole Miss a chance in this game. And if someone upsets Alabama, I think it's going to be Ole Miss. But I just think this Alabama team is too good. I don't see anyone beating them, and I don't think Ole Miss is going to be able to do it. It's a great game, a shootout, but Alabama, probably similar to the game we saw a couple of years ago, closer than the game from last year, but I do think that Alabama will win it. Ole Miss drops to 7-3. Next game on the road at Arkansas. Another tough game. I mean, it is another tough game here. This should be a great game as well, a shootout, but it's one of those coin flips, and you got to go with home field advantage. So I'm going to say that Arkansas wins this game. So I've got them losing 4 games in a row, and I say this on all my predictions. It's not really about each individual game. It's about the overall record. So maybe it doesn't go like this. Maybe they lose to Kentucky and they beat Texas A&M, or something different happens. But the way their schedule lines up, I could really see this happening. I could see them losing 4 games in a row and starting 7-0, then losing 4 in a row. It's just a brutal stretch there from LSU to Arkansas. But then Mississippi State comes up next. This should be a good one this year in the Egg Bowl. A lot of points, a lot of scoring. I think it'll be close. Mississippi State's a good team, a little bit underrated in my opinion. Ole Miss playing at home, offense just a little bit better. They win a shootout, a close 1-score game in the Egg Bowl, another great one. And again, I think all these games, going really to Auburn, from Auburn to Mississippi State, those are going to be some really good games. A lot of close games, a lot of games that could really go either way, except maybe Alabama. That's the one game where I think Alabama is the clear favorite. But that stretch right there, going to be very intriguing to watch for Ole Miss, because I do think they will start 6 or 7-0 there. At the end of the day, though, just too many tough games. They get 4 losses. They finish 8-4 in 2022.